big day.
Yeah, it was a big day. But it is my mom's birthday, so that was obviously very important. Hi, birthday, Mom.
We haven't even started yet.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of a big deal. She's one of the reasons I'm here.
True story.
Yeah.
I'm only handling this intro if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, I can handle it.
Okay.
Sure.
I haven't started yet.
Hello, everyone. It is Tiffany and Daniel from the Wish You Were Beer Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I've never done this intro, so I am going to just wing it for a moment. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, so good job out there.
This isn't the local news. You don't have to give us the time.
I don't know. They got to call popcorn.
8:01.
Oh, man, that was a really old reference.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. No, we are doing a super exciting show today. And I think I've been looking forward to it for like 3 or 4 weeks, basically since Daniel set this up. And it is all Daniel's credit. I will give that to him. Daniel picked these books up and tore through them. And then I was like, I guess I should probably read those so I'm smart as well. And then he was like, we are going to talk to him. And I said, what? And the him in question is Dr. Chris Ferrie. He is a quantum physicist, theorist, one of the two, or both.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's like Schrodinger's cat.
No, don't start with that already. I knew that was going to be like step one for you.
It is. And that's actually...
That cat in the box, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be fine. Everything's cool.
I'm super excited about it as well. Like Tiffany mentioned, we've read a couple of his books now. And they're really well done and a really good way to talk about and think about quantum physics, especially if you did not pass 7th grade math like myself,
or had a PE teacher for your physics teacher in high school because they kind of just like didn't have a physics teacher.
God, I wish my PE teacher could have been my math teacher. I probably would have passed them.
Mr. LaValle. I think I got like a B-. And I think that may have just been.
This may come off as weird, but were you always this attractive?
So physics was not my favorite. I did get honors in chemistry though, so wow. I at least was kind of smart somewhere.
Oh Lord, well brace yourself because my mother is watching.
Hello.
Oh, good Lord. Dangerous questions ahead, Chris. Okay. If you're unfamiliar with this show, we do this every Thursday night. We're not always graced by a quantum physicist
or Daniel's mom
or my mom. Yeah. True. So big night all the way around. Boy.
Oh my God.
You put my dad in the same room, it is getting out of hand. So that being said, usually we do, some beer interviews, review some beers and things of that nature. Chris was kind enough to come on at 10 o'clock in the morning, his time in Australia, and be willing to crack a beer with us as well. So before we get him in, I'm just going to let you know, I am drinking an Evil Twin Brewing beer.
It's a pumpkin beer.
They're out of New York City. 'Tis the season. It's already October. This is their most popular pumpkin ale. It's right on the can.
I think that's the name of it.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I'm not even mad about that.
I don't like pumpkin spice like coffee and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan.
Caramel macchiatos, though.
I do love a caramel macchiato. I don't care who knows it. I'll tell everybody. But I do love pumpkin beers as well. Dave, good to see you, buddy. I'm glad you made it out and you're actually got a day off work.
Yay.
So again, we are going to be chatting with Dr. Chris Ferrie tonight. We're going to be talking about Quantum Bullshit, which is the book that Tiffany mentioned earlier. So without further ado, because I'm not going to be able to make it through the first 2 questions, we're going to maybe go ahead and bring him in if I can find this clip. This is shit Phil normally does. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but he actually does shit.
He does.
Chris,
welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So as promised, you are in Australia and you were kind enough to have a beer. Let's get that out of the way. Just let us know what you're drinking first.
Sure, yeah. So it's the Handover.
Okay.
And it's from Anchorage. And it's a collaboration with an Australian brewer called Forward Hops. So it's actually a blend. It's a triple oaked barley wine and a double oaked dark ale.
What is the alcohol percentage on that?
That's a bold move, Cotton.
It's 10 in the morning your time.
It's 10 in the morning. That's 20% alcohol. But no, look, I corked it. I'm only gonna have I'm I'm only gonna have a couple standard drinks in the morning, and then we'll have the rest later.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
I did not see that coming, and I thank you for that.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
I also have coffee though, so it's
yeah.
Fair
it
enough.
like it's a good pairing actually.
Actually, yeah, that beer probably does go well with a coffee. They're probably the same color and same thickness as well.
Yeah. Oh, this one it's thick. Like it sticks to the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, I was lucky enough to get a hold of Quantum Bullshit. I found this randomly in a Barnes and Noble. I was looking in the science section, and just I liked the cover of it. It caught my eye, picked it up, read kind of some of the foreword and some of that, and was like, this speaks my language. Obviously, being an author was not your original intent, because you graduated college in Canada with quantum physics, right? Or quantum theory, or
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate degree in mathematics,
Mhm.
and I was always interested in applying mathematics, not just mathematics for the sake of it. And so I got some, research positions in physics, and just kind of stayed there. Finished my PhD in Canada, and then left to do research positions, and finally ended up as a faculty member in Australia. Yeah,
very cool.
it's kind of the standard academic path.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have so many friends who went that way.
Yeah. Yeah. You finish your PhD, you do 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years of, contract research positions. And then you have to move to a different country because that's where the jobs are.
This checks out.
Yeah.
Checks out. So now how did you go about starting a book then? I mean, just like you said, this is your non-standard educational process, but at the same time, you also just casually wrote a book, or
Yeah, I didn't. So the world of children's products and stuff was really foreign to me until I had kids. Like, I don't have any younger siblings. I don't have any younger cousins. None of my friends had kids. So I just wasn't even aware of even things like children. I wouldn't go into the children's book section in a bookstore. But then I had we had a couple kids, and we were getting gifts, buying books, reading them, and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of books about science. There's like nonfiction books, but it's like my first book of letters and animal sounds, which are limited to farm animals for some reason.
Yeah,
and
animals,
because those are the ones that everyone sees. It's not like it's a squirrel. No.
Yeah. I think you're more likely to see like a lion at the zoo than you are to see a cow anymore, right? I mean, unless you sneak your way into the factory farm.
That's fair.
Yeah. So the pictures of farms that we show kids in children's books are horribly inaccurate. But there was there's no science, like real science, and especially no modern science. So I thought, I'll just, I'll write one for my own kids at least. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to write about the actual stuff that I do, which is quantum physics? And so I wrote like a little book for them, just printed it out on computer paper, and they seemed to enjoy it. And so I had one printed and gave it to one of the teachers that they had, and they loved it and said, you should make more of these, or, publish them or whatever. And so initially I self-published it. That was like over 10 years ago now. Quantum Physics for Babies was the first one. And I thought, at least the title is going to get some attention. But
sure.
It was always a hobby. I put it on Amazon, and it was print on demand. So I didn't even have to have copies printed myself. I've never even had, besides the ones that I use myself, I've never had copies in my own house. It was always just like someone clicks buy and Amazon prints it and sends it to them in 2 days. Crazy. So I sat there and noticed that, it's, selling, 10, 15 copies a day on Amazon. And one of the copies ended up in the hands of Mark Zuckerberg, and he shared a photo in reading it to his newborn. That was like 2016 or something like that.
Yeah.
And, that got the attention of a publisher, and a publisher came and said, even though these are already self-published, we'll publish them. And I said, well, I have other ideas too. And so they said, okay, well, what are those? And I told them, and now I've published over 70 books with the same publisher, Source Books in Chicago.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's a connection that typically doesn't last that long either, from what I understand of author publisher. Like usually something doesn't work, or it's like a band and a manager.
Yeah, well, most authors have agents.
Mhm.
So the agent's responsibility is to go out there and get the best, advance on royalties, and so they're shopping at different publishers. I don't have an agent. I just work with. I have an editor that I can just email and say, "How about this idea?" And so it's a unique relationship. It's not one that everyone gets to enjoy, but it works. It works for us.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Sorry, you were gonna say something. I don't know if I have anything actually. I'm good.
I think Tiffany's having a barley wine. I don't know what's in that glass. No, I mean, obviously, when I reached out to you, I want to talk somewhat of physics, and I try not to get too deep into it, mainly because then I lose myself. So I'll be happy to let you guide some of that. But I guess the real starting point for me is always the difference between classical physics versus quantum physics. I sucked at all things physics. I don't even think I made it through half of the first year. So it's all quantum to me. But what's the easiest way to break down the true separation between classical and quantum?
I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. I think one way to think about it is that they're different mathematical theories, like models of the world. And when we just look at our everyday world, the classical physics model works pretty well. And we can make really accurate predictions. Nothing really goes wrong. But once we start to, dig a bit deeper, look at what things like tables and chairs are made of, and we find they're made of molecules, and those are made of even smaller things as we break them apart. Those rules that we used from classical physics don't seem to accurately let us predict what's happening. So around 1900, a new set of rules started to be developed, and it was 1925, so 100 years ago. It's actually the International Year of Quantum Science. I don't know if you're aware, but because it's been 100 years since the Schrodinger equation.
Chris, you gotta let me know this.
We could have had better babies.
Yeah, so UNESCO named it the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology because it's been 100 years since Schrodinger wrote down his famous equation that is the quantum counterpart to the classical physics. So it's a new set of it's a new model. It's a new set of mathematics that accurately predicts. Now, there's lots of differences at the mathematical level. It uses a lot of similar things. It uses calculus. It uses algebra. But it also seems to really need what are known as complex numbers. And I think that's like one of the key differences between the math anyway, that we seem to really need to make use of a new set of numbers to describe the world. And it's not something that is obvious to us when we look at things with our eyes and touch things with our hands. But it is the way in which we need to describe what those things are, what the big things are made of.
Yeah, and I think it's like you said, we have an understanding that these things exist more so than we ever have. So obviously the science has to progress, the math has to progress. There has to be things in place to be able to quantify these things, not necessarily just know that's a chair made of atoms. Right. So the math has to grow up. Everything else has to get more complicated, in my opinion, because I like shapes. Triangle.
Yeah, there's the quantitative difference, which is the mathematics. Mm-hmm. And there's also a qualitative difference, but that, when we say everything's made of atoms, nowadays kids have seen pictures and models of atoms, right? Seen little figures of a nucleus with electrons going around it, that sort of thing. And so you can kind of have an idea in your mind of what that might mean. But knowing only that, you wouldn't get very far. Like you need the mathematics.
Yep.
Right.
Hence, I haven't made it very far in the subject. Yeah. Now, one of the things you said in the front of the book, I think it was actually wasn't the foreword.
He didn't put tabs in.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, I
hold on.
didn't. It was the very first. It was the very first thing. It said to Einstein, he would have hated this.
Yeah.
Would he have hated your approach to it, or
Oh yeah,
the way you wrote
definitely.
it?
I think anyone with anyone with an education, I think from the 19th to 20th century would have much higher sensibilities than me. And but so I don't think he would approve of the language, but also it's kind of a joke, like an inside joke, that because it's often said that he didn't like quantum physics.
Right.
So, writing about quantum physics,
He would have hated
Einstein
the
wouldn't-
subject matter alone,
yeah.
much less the verbiage in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, also kind of I like to dispel the myths around quantum, and he was someone who also, in a sense, created some of these myths, because he was really trying to find an explanation for everything that was happening in the math, in what we were observing at the time with classical physics, because he wanted to preserve a classical picture of the world. And by doing so, like, he kind of inadvertently created a lot of these paradoxes.
Checks out.
Yeah.
We're already going to get a lot of questions over there, but I do have I have one other question for you first, though. I'm sure you have like 70.
No, I mean, I do have some written down, but they're like more like break glass in case of emergency, because I didn't want to have like all
Oh, that checks out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be on the show.
Right.
There's
That's why
rarely an
my
awkward
phone is like
silence.
over there. I
Yeah.
don't have it on. Like my notes and things, I'll be like, it's fine.
Are you do you do anything on, I mean, we follow your Instagram. Do you do anything on TikTok in regards to science, or are you?
No.
Okay.
I think TikTok is my old man thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's that or virtual reality. You know how like your grandparents, maybe your parents, they like refuse to have a smartphone or something like that. Yep. I think at some age, every generation has a limit where they're like, I'm not going to accept any new technology.
Yeah,
I've put on like I've seen TikTok. I put some videos on there, but I'm like, I don't get it.
That already sounds
I will never get it.
Man statement. Yeah, I've seen the TikTok. Yeah. The only reason I brought that up is because I thought about you recently. There's a gentleman on there called Dr. Blitz. He's a younger gentleman, and he does a lot of internet detailing on people claiming to talk about science.
He's like the bouncer of quantum physics, and you're
exactly.
like the witty bartender that you like want to like talk to, and he's just like, no, get out.
Right.
Yeah, he's very.
Yeah.
He watches their videos and then he cuts them and says, "No, actually, that's wrong, and here's why." And he's
that's good.
Relatively sharp. But I thought about you because on one of his videos he posted recently, you can see the second comment there is your Heisenberg joke from the book. Heisenberg's driving his car when he gets pulled over by a cop. The cop says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" Heisenberg replies, "No, but I know where I am." I was like, well, it was better in the book, but it made me think about you. And it's crazy how much misinformation is out there in regards to anything quantum. Like you touch on it in the book, obviously, multiple different times through different avenues, but even just people on the internet talking about shit that they have no reason to be talking about is amazing to me. I don't know how you watch anything on the internet about science, because it probably drives you batshit crazy.
Even like actual press releases about scientific breakthroughs. I mean, they call them breakthroughs, but there's very few breakthroughs nowadays. There's a lot of misinformation there, and it makes me think, well, if I can identify it in my own research when it's presented in the media, it must be true of all press releases in all science. And I've talked to other scientists and like, yeah, I mean, there's a truthiness to it, right? Like, you can't give all of the details. I mean, I think any press release about any scientific discovery, the people making the discovery will nitpick about what's actually being said about it. because they care about the nitty-gritty details, and oftentimes they don't realize that people don't care about the details. They want to know why it's relevant to them. So I get that part of it, but with quantum, it's weird because when you read a press release or a blog post about it, the writer almost feels obligated to try to explain what it is, at some mechanical level, and they always get that part wrong. But that's not necessary. I don't know why we feel compelled to do that. Like why it's almost like if we haven't told them what you would learn in the course of a PhD in quantum physics, what's the point of even writing this? Which is ridiculous, right?
It is.
So that doesn't happen in other areas of science. It just seems to happen in quantum physics.
Well, and I think it's because, like you mentioned before, like some of the separation point between classical and quantum, everybody who took a physics class in school and most of their lifetimes took a classical physics class. Quantum still even though it's 100 years old now at this point, and it's everywhere you look, it's in every terminology somewhere related to something. I think it's still kind of I don't know anything about it type world. Like, oh yeah, quantum. Yeah. What is that?
Well, I feel like it's the same thing of like, oh, it's like rocket science. You just compare it to something that you obviously are never going to know about.
Yeah.
Like it's just so far-fetched.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there is kind of this air of mysticism, mysteriousness about it. And people use things like, obviously crazy things like aliens or whatever in the same way that they use quantum physics. But quantum physics is legitimate science. And so it feels like it's you give it some credibility if you use the word quantum as well.
Sure.
And I think that's where a lot of like the really egregious bullshit comes from.
Yep.
But I got into quantum physics for that same reason, Daniel. It was like I took physics and then I knew about quantum physics, and it was like, well, as a young person who wants to know everything, obviously I'm not going to know everything until I go and learn about quantum physics. And I'm going to learn, I read Stephen Hawking's book when I was a teenager, and Brian Greene, and they, the promise that they gave was like, if you just understand quantum physics, you'll understand all the deep mysteries of the world.
Right.
And so if I would always have regretted it if I never went and did it, but I can honestly tell you it was a waste of 20 years because it's not there. Like you don't understand. You understand more about people and the scientific method and the institutions we've created around science than you learn about the nature of reality.
And I think that's your other book that I wrapped up recently, the 42 Reasons to Hate the Universe. And I say your book. I know there was other authors involved in that one as well. But I think that's what I pulled away from that book. Like, oh, really? The only reason that you do quantum is to find out that we don't really know necessarily how things are going to end, but they are going to end. Like that's the science. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's true of all science in a sense, in the sense that you go into it looking for answers, but inevitably all you find is more questions. Like there's never answers. There's only more questions.
That checks out. That would be frustrating for me.
Well, I guess what would you do with the
Yeah.
What would you do if you had the answer?
There'd
be nothing left to do.
I think that's probably why I'm not seeking out the answers either, because I'd be just as lazy with the answer as I am about seeking it out already. So it's a lose-lose for me. You, on the other hand.
I mean, I do a lot.
Why does it work? How does it tell me? Oh, good Lord.
Gotta get that 30,000 foot view.
Lord
there's a lot of questions.
I'm gonna roll into some questions for you, if that's okay, because I think some of these are good questions as well that I would have already asked had I not seen them over on the chat. So everybody that's in the chat, if you haven't already, give us your questions that you have for Chris. I'm gonna roll this slide that Phil made.
A new one?
Yeah, I think it's just
Phil
like
made a new thing.
Yeah, but it's neither one of us are in it. It's like just some random stock footage.
It's AI.
Yeah. I'm even going to cut it off early. Phil watches it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm thankful that Phil does all that stuff because I have no idea how, and anything he puts on there is better than me drawing stick figures.
You could have just recorded yourself holding up those.
I could
have.
have.
Yeah.
But
this was new, and we didn't know.
I don't know if you saw the Instagram post this morning, but Tiffany already did her talking, held a book. We can't be adding.
Yeah, and I was almost got pinged into a meeting like right as soon as I sat down. I was like panicking, trying to talk about what I needed to do and think about work.
Oh boy, work sounds tough.
Nope,
I'd get.
Don't want to talk about it.
All right. My mom wants to know why quantum bullshit. Where does the name come from?
That's a good question. So it actually came from, I was having a meeting with my publisher. They invited me out there to Chicago, and we're having dinner. And I had mentioned going through the airports, and you look at the bookstores in the airports, all the top selling books, they all have swear words in the title, like How to Unfuck Your Life, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I said, we should change the name of the book to Quantum Fucking Physics for Babies. And she laughed and she said, that's actually not a bad idea. And then I was like, I want to write a book with a swear word in the title.
Fair enough.
And then it will be on airport bookshelves. I don't think it ever ended up there.
Yeah,
but,
I'll put this
so
one in.
I think
next time I fly, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, just leave it there. Yeah. Just put a bestseller sticker on it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it came from. And it's dry, sarcastic. It's very different than the children's books, but that's also my kind of humor. Yeah. So it was very easy and natural to write that book. And it was, obviously, I didn't have to do a lot of research because it was stuff that I'm an expert in. So yeah, it seemed quite natural. And it was a lot of fun to write.
I just like that you just wanted to put a swear word in there. That bodes well for me as well.
I like that you weren't going to write an adult version of a quantum book at all. And you're like, I just really want to swear a lot because I'm tired of writing kids.
Yeah.
So I have a friend as well who wanted me to ask you a question. So my buddy Aaron, he's a chef at a restaurant here locally. One thing he wanted to know was, do atoms in the physical world ever contact each other without human interaction? So without us getting involved, do they ever actually physically bump into each other, or are they constantly being repelled?
Well, if you have a picture of atoms in your mind as like little billiard balls, then them like coming in contact and making a clicking noise and bouncing off each other, that something like that never happens. A better picture of a slightly better picture of an atom is like the planetary model, where you have a tiny little nucleus in the center. So an atom is very big in the terms of like its sphere of influence, but the internal structure is like you have a nucleus, and that's where the protons and neutrons live, and then the electrons go around the outside. The space between all of these things is enormous. It's more than the space between the objects in the solar system, like scaled down.
Right.
So almost everything that we see and touch and feel is empty space at that fundamental level. And it's just the forces that we're really experiencing, not physical objects. So when you touch a table, you don't feel the table. You feel an electronic repulsive force from between the atoms in your hand and the atoms in the table. So yeah, in your hand the atoms in your hand never touch the table. There's a force that repels them. But when we put a lot of energy into it, like in a nuclear reactor or in a bomb or at one of these particle accelerators, you can get them to essentially smash into each other. But an okay model in your mind is billiard balls hitting each other and then spilling out all the smaller things that it's made of. But even there, they really don't touch.
Right.
Yeah.
So Andrew wants to know what the biggest myth around quantum physics is.
Oh, there's a lot. I think the most
What's your favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite then? How about that one?
my favorite. My favorite. I think the most common one that you hear is that in quantum physics, things can be in two places at once.
Oh, that's my favorite. Yeah.
And that's not true. Right? it's that if you get something in the world and you isolate it from its environment, like complete isolation, even outer space has a temperature, which is like light, invisible light, constantly bathing everything in outer space. You have to remove all of that, get rid of everything and isolate it. What happens is that it starts to spread out and act more like a wave than like a particle. Right. So this would be true of cats in boxes, or humans or whatever. They wouldn't survive. If you were, it would require removing all the air and everything, so you wouldn't be able to survive. But all of the material that you're made of would act more like a wave than a particle. And when we try to make sense of this, because when we say we try to make sense of objects, we're thinking about particle-like things that have positions and locations in space, then we're kind of forced to say, oh, it must be in multiple places at the same time, because a wave is a spread out thing. But it is just the wave. It's, to go in and observe it would mean to, in a sense, open the box and then expose it to an environment. And at that point, it would no longer be acting like a wave. It would be more like a particle again. And so when a lot of the things you hear, and the one you hear most common is that things can be in two places at once, are always my classical physics language interpretation of some quantum math that I'm using to describe the world.
Okay. I definitely followed. Actually, I'm getting lost because I'm trying to keep up on everybody's questions so I can make sure I pull the right one in. I
think that the important thing is there's Feynman said nobody understands quantum physics, right? And that's true if what you mean by understanding is like a comfortable classical picture of the world. You just can't have it.
That makes sense. And I think you're absolutely right. Anytime you hear anybody mention quantum, it's always the two places at one time, or particles acting differently, the observer theories, all these different like buzzwords that go into it with no actual explanation like the one that you just gave me. So thank you. Let's see here. So can you give a short explanation of quantum computing and whether or not the limitation of binary-based computing and making computers smaller is because random particles can just appear randomly? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we have digital computers, and what's inside them is transistors. Those are the binary numbers, the little switches that have a voltage that's either on or off. And everything that we're doing, like this, this conversation that we're having, is all represented by ones and zeros in these transistors. And computers get better by making the transistors smaller and packing more and more into a computer chip. But we know that eventually you're going to get to the size of a transistor that is, an atom's width apart, or it's made of a single atom. And at that point, it won't behave like a binary number anymore. It's going to behave in a way described by quantum physics. So there is a fundamental limitation in terms of progress in digital computing. If progress means making things smaller, you're eventually going to hit the quantum limit. And we're already seeing that. So there's something called Moore's law, and it goes back to like the 70s. And the law was essentially the number of transistors on a chip double every 18 months. Mm-hmm. And that was held true for the last 50 years. But we're getting to the size where the transistors are tens to hundreds of atoms across. And you have to now consider, you describe those things with quantum physics now. and you're really battling a lot of these quantum mechanical effects that are happening. So quantum computers just throw out the idea that we're going to constrain everything to on and off binary, and we're just going to use the full description that we have at our disposal of quantum particles. And it's a richer set of numbers, and so you can do more things with them. And the potential benefit of using quantum computers is not that they're faster in terms of doing a calculation, because our computers are extremely fast. So they're like between 4 and 5 gigahertz clock speed, which means it's doing 4 billion operations per second. The quantum computers that are being developed now, they're like megahertz. So that's 1 million per second. That's 1,000 times slower per operation. But the point is that you're encoding information differently, and you can create an algorithm that requires far fewer steps. So a digital algorithm, what now we call classical algorithms, require more steps because you've constrained yourself to forcing everything to zeros and ones when you really had at your disposal a richer set of numbers.
Yeah, this whole complex set of numbers now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the classical route is, it's fast and easy. You're like going up a mountain by taking the road, and the quantum route it's hard. You have to scale the cliff. It's slow, but it's a shorter distance.
Yeah, and it's probably a prettier hike. So I have a question for you that I don't know anything about necessarily, but I came across it by accident. Actually, that picture that I showed you from Dr. Blitz's account on TikTok was a gentleman online, a YouTuber, probably has a beer podcast.
So he's probably right.
Yeah, now, but he was trying to explain 0 point energy, and that it's already being harnessed, and people are being blacklisted because they've been able to harness this and use this material, which obviously is where this other gentleman rips him a new one. But can you explain what 0 point, what it actually means? I know it's the lowest possible amount of energy for quantum, right?
Yeah.
And
so it's like an atom. If you think of the energy of the electrons in an atom, what would zero energy be? It would be like an electron is just still, it's sitting still. And that it can't happen it doesn't happen in nature, and within the rules of quantum physics that we developed to describe nature, it doesn't exist. So there's like the lowest possible energy is still some energy. And it's called the 0 point because from the people that created quantum physics started knowing classical physics. So all the names in quantum physics make some reference to classical physics.
Right.
So if you think about classical physics, you can have zero energy. In quantum physics, you can't. So whatever the lowest energy is, that's what you call zero now.
Gotcha. That makes sense. But you're telling me that the whole Ant-Man movie was bullshit then. That's not...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much all of it.
Pretty much all of it. Sorry, that was Andrew's joke from earlier. I just recycled it out of the comments.
Yeah,
I have some jokes.
How many is some?
There must be a Paul Rudd time travel aging joke in there somewhere.
Oh, no. I'm sure. Yeah, good
lord.
No,
mine are supposed to just be witty comments. I was going to weave in, and I haven't been witty at all today, and that's fine. I've been drinking.
She's at her 0 point energy.
No, but hold on, you ready?
All right. I was born ready.
Nothing still costs energy. I finally found my electric bill.
That's good.
Apparently, even emptiness can't sit still. Same.
Oh my god. These are all your 0 point energy jokes.
Yeah, I told you I had some in case of emergency break glass. That's it. I'll just do those.
Those are good. No, those are good. I hadn't heard those before.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So Kevin wants to know what your actual day-to-day looks like. Like, are you part of a research project? Are you working as an author? Are you at the university? Like, what's your actual day-to-day look like in that world?
Besides drinking 20%.
Yeah.
I'm coming to visit 10 in the morning, racking 20 years.
Yeah. It's mostly this, drinking coffee, looking at my screen.
Check.
Yeah, it's day to day. A scientist, the job is much like any other job. Like you're talking to your colleagues, answering emails, doing administration. That's the day to day. But once you strip away all that boring stuff, yes, I have PhD students. They each have a research project. I meet with them once a week, and just progressing through their PhD. We're working on things related to quantum computing. So the topic is called quantum machine learning. So it's like, what the mechanics of when you hear the word AI, the actual kind of mechanics of making those systems, and then asking what would that look like once we have quantum computers. So that's what a lot of the research is about. And I jump around. I mean, having a faculty job is very flexible, right? You have your teaching hours at a specific time, but the rest of the time you can use at your disposal. Academics famously work 18 hours a day, so there's lots of time to do all the necessary stuff for the university. And then in the other spots of time, I do writing. There's always book projects going on, and whether that's kids books or adult nonfiction books. And yeah, is that it? Then
yeah, I think that's
it sounds like a full day.
some Neil deGrasse Tyson shit going on here, he says.
So Neil deGrasse, every time you ask me a question, I don't have a prepared answer. And Neil deGrasse Tyson said, the reason he's so popular is because he has 60-second answers that he's memorized for every question. And he's memorized like 3 different versions of them. And I've said to people, so if you asked him what quantum physics is, what the difference is, he would probably say something like, oh, in quantum physics, things can be in 2 places at once, because it's a short, pithy thing that sounds exciting. Yep. And then he gets invited on more podcasts. And then I say, no, it's just complicated. And if you really want to understand it, you have to put time in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't get me invited back on podcasts.
That checks out. I can see that. Yeah. I'll talk to you anytime you want to. But, now, I had another question, just real quick, in regards to, we briefly said particle accelerators and kind of crashing things together. The idea of fusion and fission with the particle accelerators themselves, that's mainly fusion. We're trying to put 2 atoms together, correct?
Well, we're just trying to create enough energy so that in the interaction between them, interesting things happen. So each interaction is different. So there's a lot happening at a time, but one interaction is usually between only two particles. And so you send like a proton around, and you send another particle around, and you want to see what happens when they strike each other. And yeah, sometimes a product of that reaction is fusion, but sometimes it's other things. So all sorts of these exotic particles fly out of these interactions.
And how much stock do you put in the amount of time we've spent with these accelerators on where science is actually going in the next 100 years?
Not much. I think for me, we've seen so the philosophical kind of underpinning driver of 20th century physics is reductionism.
Yeah.
That we can understand things by taking them apart and seeing what they're made of. And that's driven a huge amount of progress. But I think the 21st century will be more about complexity. The fact that even if we knew what things were made of, when we put them together, we can see behavior that is not obvious from understanding the individual things. So the word for this is emergence. It's a bad word because it sounds mystical, but
there's a lot of bad words in your line of work. I feel like you're all over your book, like superposition, emergence, like all these things are like, well, it's actually a really shitty word for what it really means.
Assume it was someone who was like, we should name it something really cool.
Yeah.
Because we're in quantum and no one wants to talk about it. And so we're gonna name it something cool and easy. And then it's like,
Did you see that Divergent movie? Emergent movie? Yeah, we'll call it Emergent.
Yeah. Well, it's so we with you can an everyday example is AI, right? So people will type something into ChatGPT and then they'll ask, why did it say that?
Right.
And that you would think someone would know the answer to that because we built those, from scratch. Like an artificial neural network, you can picture as a bunch of like nodes in a graph, and each node has a number associated with it, and the connection between nodes has a number associated with it. And we can see it. We can see the whole thing, all the details, but we can't answer like, why did it ChatGPT tell me to make that recipe from these ingredients instead of a different one? We can't answer that question. So I think that just is a very clear everyday demonstration of the failure of reductionism,
Right.
because in science we weren't making things from the ground up. We were just presented with the world and we started breaking it apart, and it worked really well. But then we got to the base level, and we ended up not being able to explain everything around us, knowing the fundamental rules of the world. So you can believe that all there is these 12 particles and 4 forces of nature, and that's fully consistent with that those things alone are sufficient to make this world that we see. But knowing that, and only that, you wouldn't be able to predict, like TikTok, for example, right? Like, right. TikTok is not in Schrödinger's equation, although at the fundamental level, that's all there is to it, right? Yeah. There is nothing more. So we've reached the limit of this kind of reductionist thinking, and that's what's happening at particle accelerators. Is we're trying to break things apart and put more energy in, and we can break things apart even smaller and smaller. But what's the point? We already know that we're not going to be able to describe the world any better than we can right now. So I think that, the 21st century will be like the science of the 21st century will be in understanding complexity and how small things with simple rules can get together to create more complicated things.
That's actually, we call that a marriage. Two small things with very complicated rules get together and make it work still, That's crazy.
Yeah. Shots fired.
I gotta get at least one in on every episode. I feel like I do.
My jokes were really witty earlier.
Yeah, your jokes were great. Mine were just a direct representation.
I had others as well.
Oh.
It's fine. Again, you reached out to him. This is like, Daniel has been like over the moon about this.
No.
Yeah, he's very excited.
I don't care about anything.
I'm gonna call you out in public.
You know that about me. Whatever type.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. All right, so Chris, we're going to be getting out of here shortly, but I do want to know what's next in the pipeline for you. Like you've already published a set amount of books. You're working with your PhD students right now. Do you have any other books in the works? Do you have any projects you're excited about on a science level? Like what's coming down the pipeline for you?
Yeah, I mean, the research kind of chugs along. Someone asked me, where will the everyday person see your research in their daily life? And I thought that was like a really naive question about how science works. And my answer was, if you end up seeing my research in your daily life, something has gone wrong, because that's not the point, right? Like, we're modern researchers, you dig away at tiny specialized questions, and in aggregate you contribute to something bigger. So I should hope that, unless another scientist is watching, the research is quite irrelevant. But on the book side, I actually have one here. So this one came out this year. So that's the sequel.
Yeah. So I didn't see that one at the store. I saw it in the online, but I didn't see it in the store.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to go tell Barnes and Noble that they're
I can request it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I leave this other copy at the airport with a bestseller sticker, then I'll go to Barnes and Noble and request it. We'll just start spreading the word naturally.
Yeah.
It's guerrilla tactics.
Yeah. So I thought the reason behind quantum cosmic bullshit was like quantum still feels, I think it's scary to people, and so when they see the word quantum in the title of a book, they're like, "Oh, I'm not that. That's not for me. That's reserved for ultra smart people or whatever."
Sure.
Which is not true.
Daniel read it.
Yeah, and if I can make it through, you're not kidding.
Well, I wrote it, and I'm not the best quantum physicist. So, and so the cosmic stuff, it just people. I think that resonates with people more, like the universe and pictures of other planets and galaxies and all that stuff. So I tackle all the kind of bullshit at that cosmic level in cosmic bullshit. So I'm hoping that it resonates with more people, or doesn't scare as many people off. And there's one of the lessons I learned was that there are too many F-bombs in quantum bullshit.
What?
So I reduced the number of swear words.
I disagree strongly with wherever your market analysis came from.
So that editor relationship you were talking about.
Yeah, true story. So this is a question that my mother has. Don't tell her about your children. She's had enough of her own. She doesn't need any now. But she made me think about it because I am in the process of reading another book called The Theoretical Minimum. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's mathematical.
It's a lot more math that I never actually got. So I'm rifling my way through it and doing some self-learning there about how much I hate myself. But she wants to know.
If you get to the end of that, you're like graduate level physics.
Yeah, no, I will get to the end of it.
No one's going to posthumously give you one or anything other.
Speaking of spouses, there's mine.
It wouldn't be a live show if someone didn't walk in. Yeah, exactly. It happens all the time.
We had a garage door.
She doesn't know it's a live show.
Somebody trying to find dogs. Yeah.
My mom wants to know about your kids' books in the sense of what is the basic you want kids to know from your children's series, or is it just the idea that science is approachable?
I think it's more for adults than it is for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it is for kids, but one of the most common responses I get from adults was that they're intimidated by it. So I mean, you've mentioned it a couple of times, Daniel, like this sort of kind of self-deprecation, like I was really bad at physics or math or whatever in school, but that manifests as like anxiety for a lot of people, and so they don't want to present that to their kids because they don't want to feel dumb if their kids ask a question or whatever. So it's more so for parents that they can see that there's a way to approach this that is friendly to everyone, and that's the most common response. I mean, I don't know what the response is from kids, and I'm glad that I don't get communications from them because that would be awkward. But I don't know how well it resonates with them. But a lot of parents.
Yeah.
My expectation, and from what I've heard from parents, is that, and what I've seen from children, is that they don't know that quantum physics, quote unquote, isn't for them, or they're not ready for it. It's just a book, and if there's an adult that's going to read the book to them with enthusiasm, then they don't care what the content of the book is. And so if you do that, then the child will be exposed to, like, say, quantum physics, and they're not going to pass an exam or anything when they're done. But when they see it later in life, they're not going to see it in that cultural context of, oh, this is reserved for super smart people. It is something that I've seen, and it's easy because it was read to me when I was a child.
Yep, and that's my mother's reading it to my nephew nowadays because my brother. That picture I sent you is my nephew, and he's got that as well.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Good job. So Uncle along in the background. Yeah, you're welcome, Jethro Tull. My goal is to change these out every week and I just have not. There's a dead Kennedy's one right here. I think there's all kinds of weird shit. Yeah. Is there a Madeline Does Physics book? My toddler would read it every night. Madeline.
Yeah, there should be. yeah, I'd love to stick kind of science and physics into every, a little bit of real science and physics into everything. So if the people who do the Madeline series are listening,
If they are,
if you happen to catch
shoot
this,
us a
shoot us an
email.
email.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck?
anyone watching wants to,
We'll cut down on the F words in that one, but
we'll see.
yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. Chris, I just want to say thank you again. This was a really weird like reach out for me because normally it's always within the beer realm or the industry that we're both very familiar with. So this was just kind of a out in left field. I was reading Quantum Bullshit and I was like, man, that was fun.
You mentioned beer a couple times.
Yeah,
and he's
I was
like,
like, I
I'm
like
gonna
talking
reach
to
out
this
to
guy.
this guy. And I was like, you should. You
Yeah.
should.
perfect.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being willing to come on the show. And I know I've already personally got your book in 2 other people's hands who are pretty excited about it and enjoying it as well. So I'm
Great.
looking forward to any more work that you put out. I am going to pick up Cosmic Bullshit as well because I did see that. I just haven't found it yet. But yeah, thanks for being willing to have a beer and thanks for your research work and your ability to share that with us in a way that makes sense because that's really difficult, I think.
And we didn't really give
Thanks for having me.
you ahead of time, which we really should have, and that's on us.
That's
Usually
okay.
I'm better. I'll prepare people.
You've never prepared for a show. Don't
Not
lie
for
to
a
him
show,
now.
but for work. I would. This one, anyway, it's fine.
I love it. Well, again, if you can find Cosmic Bullshit, Quantum Bullshit, 42 Reasons to Hate the Universe, 1 Reason to Love It, or if you do have little ones walking around the house as well, Quantum for Babies is out there as well.
And apparently 64 other books. How many did you mention? Anyway, you said 70 books?
I don't know.
There's a lot, yeah.
I don't know what religious tracks he's writing.
I
Yeah.
No, but honestly,
it's all about crystals and quantum.
Oh
Quantum
god, that's one of my
romance.
favorites. Yeah, the quantum
right.
crystals people.
All
But
right.
yeah, we really appreciate it. I'll let you get to the rest of your day. We'll probably shoot you a follow-up email just to thank you again. Maybe send you some show swag so you don't have to be dressed in your science stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But,
I appreciate you took the lab coat off.
yeah, exactly. Well, Chris, again, buddy, cheers. Thank you so
cheers.
much for
Yeah.
coming by.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Later.
Did you want to hear any of my other jokes?
I'll give you one more joke. Yeah, go.
Okay. In the multiverse, someone finally opened the box and it was probably a dog person.
Why did you do that one? That one's better than the other 2, I think.
I hadn't gotten to that. We hadn't
Okay.
gotten to the superposition portion
Fair.
of things.
Well, I didn't want to delve too much.
I like to think Schrodinger just didn't want to commit to a pet.
I'm
It's
really
fine.
worried about you.
You should be.
Again, everybody, we do this show once a week usually. Our co-host Phil wasn't able to be here tonight, so again, big thank you
Because
to
he's in a
Dr.
musical being super cool.
Thank you to Dr. Chris Ferrie who was able
This
to
was
stop
way
by.
cooler,
Yeah.
actually. I'm not a singer.
But if you are in New Jersey, you should catch Phil. He's in a show.
Yes.
Go check it out. Anyway, we will likely be back next week with what? Who knows? We don't plan this show every week. So
This was it. We actually planned only for this one.
Correct.
And we did so much prep work, we haven't thought about the others.
correct. So in the meantime, make sure you visit our website, wishyourbeershow.com. Follow along with us on TikTok, on Instagram, on all those other places that you get brain rot out of, but that are fun. And you can always visit our merch store as well. If you want to support the show, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Buy
Really
a shirt, buy a
cool.
beer. Yeah, whatever.
Really cool shirts.
Don't buy the jacket. That was a joke from Phil. If you do happen to get that hair up your
It's
ass.
one of a kind.
It is definitely one of a kind. So we will see you guys, if not on Instagram and everywhere else, then probably next Thursday.
We'll see.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I would like to play the outro and end.